If you knew that you could not fail, if I were able to issue you an ironclad 100% guarantee of success for your next project, what would you attempt?
Well, I think I probably could. I probably will. Perhaps many people have said to me in many instances, "Why don't you get involved in politics? Why don't you run for office?" I probably will do that. I will probably.
What office would you run for?
Well, I think it's something that would be more of in Washington. I think I could make.
So, U.S. Congressperson?
A U.S. Congressperson. So I thought I could. I want to believe, if I can have a guarantee that I can get that job, I want to believe that I would not be enthused, or it would be that I can actually change what's going on in Washington at this time. Me with others, obviously there are many people that have tried and have never been successful. So, but I think if I could, I would like to be there like 8 years or 12 years, and be able to see if I could have an impact.
Let's pretend for a moment that all 7 billion of us are going to watch this video.
Okay.
What would you say to us?
Well, I think what I will say is that I think we have a chance of survival. That we could. I think we have a chance that we can actually make it, that we can actually get along. I think we have the conditions by which we perhaps could be successful. Not only us, but everyone. But we need to work together and be able to to develop relationships. The only way that we could develop those relationships is by being able to get people to a certain standards that will benefit me at the same time that I will benefit you. So I think it's a chance out there for us to be able to be successful, to be able to get together. But we all have to work hard to be able to actually make it as a unit.
Who are your heroes?
He's my father. Because my father worked all his life. He was really not a very well educated individual, but he had smarts, so he came from the interior of Cuba, and then he formed a cooperative of buses, to be able to have bus lines, in Havana. So he was able to get other individuals to invest, and eventually he became my family was an upper middle class family in Cuba, And when Castro came, he took everything from him. And eventually, he left with just a suitcase, And I said, I lost everything, his money. I remember my father saying, when other individuals that were perhaps smarter that way saying, listen, Raul, that was his name, Raul, said, listen, what's going on here is that this is going to be a communist state. They're going to take everything from you. If you have any money, put some money in Florida, send it to Miami, because I think we're going to lose everything. So he always, and then there were people that were saying, I think you're going to end up in jail because, and my father said, I never did anything wrong here. I mean, why should I go to jail? Why should they take my properties? He never believed that would happen. So eventually all of that happened. So he left, and then when he showed up in Miami with his wife, he was a beaten man, when he got there. Even though he was still he was probably 49 years old, 50 years old. He could not, some of the people that he helped turned their backs on him. He was a very proud man, so eventually he ended up working in Miami Beach at the Duville Hotel as a busboy first, then as a waiter. And he spent 20 years before he retired working there. And then after he retired, he lived maybe another 10 years, and then he died. And he was, when you compare him in Miami to what he was in Cuba, he was like a different type of person. So one of the things that I resent about the revolution really is that because they didn't take anything from me, I never did anything in Cuba. But my father did, and he lost everything. And in many instances, he thought that perhaps that he had lost the respect of his family because he was the backbone of that family. There were other two brothers, and he was never able to be the same person again. And then my brother was a person that helped me tremendously. When I met him after I finished high school, I met him in New York, because I lived with them, in a very small. It was a very small apartment, and then they are the ones that with his wife, to really open my eyes. I was making some money. I was making, I was working. I was making maybe $55 a week at that time. I was also working after hours, in the same place and so forth. And I was sending, my brothers. The only thing I want you to do, I don't want you to give me any money. Send half of what you make to your father in Miami. Okay, so for 3 years I sent my half of my salary to him. But he thought it was important for me to go to school, and that's what I did.
Thank you so much for conducting the interview with me.
It's a pleasure, sir.